Welcome back, everyone. In today's Explainer, we're diving into what is honestly one of the most fascinating puzzles in human biology: successful aging. We often think of longevity as something determined completely by our genetics, or maybe by super advanced medical interventions. But what if the secret to extending our healthy years is actually hiding in plain sight, right inside our own homes? Today, we're taking a really analytical yet easy to understand look at some groundbreaking research that absolutely challenges everything we thought we knew about thriving in our later years. To truly get this, we kind of need to start by framing the core problem. As we get older, holding on to our physical mobility and our cognitive health, it becomes incredibly difficult. It's a slow, frustrating decline, and preventing it is a massive focus for global public health. I mean, we spend billions of dollars on supplements, specialized fitness programs, and therapies just trying to slow this down. But what if we're completely overlooking a built-in, everyday activity? The question we're investigating today is pretty profound. Can a simple, routine household chore actually delay mortality? Real quick before we unpack the evidence, if you enjoy structured, research-backed explainers like this, please take a quick second to subscribe to the channel. It really helps us keep bringing this kind of deep dive academic analysis right to you. So our thesis today is a surprising one. Frequent cooking, the actual physical and mental process of preparing food, is directly linked to significantly increased survivorship in the elderly. Okay, let's dive right into this with part one, the 10-year cohort study. This data comes from the Elderly Nutrition and Health Survey in Taiwan. Now, this wasn't just a quick snapshot. It was a rigorous decade-long cohort study tracking nearly 2,000 free-living elders. When the researchers isolated the data for the folks who cooked more than 5 times a week, they found a literally staggering stat. The initial hazard ratio for that high-frequency cooking group was 0.47. Yeah. Take a second and just let that sink in. 0.47. To put that into its proper scientific perspective, let's look at what a hazard ratio actually is. In research, it's just a statistical measure of how often an event, like death, happens in one group compared to a baseline over time, right? A ratio of 1.0 means no difference at all. So a ratio of 0.47 means the elders who cooked frequently effectively cut their mortality risk by more than half compared to those who never cooked. And even after adjusting for baseline health, that protective effect held incredibly strong. Which brings us to part two, the recipe for survival. So how exactly does this mechanism work? Well, it's crucial to understand the researchers aren't just looking at the food on the plate. They're analyzing the act of cooking itself. The researchers use this fantastic visual analogy to break it down into 3 steps. Step 1 is selection. You have to figure out what to eat, physically go to the store, and carry groceries home. That takes mobility. Step 2 is measurement. You're reading recipes, sequencing tasks, and calculating portions. That's a massive cognitive workout for your working memory. And finally, step 3 is combining. Putting it all together gives you a nutritious meal and often leads to commensality, the really important social act of sharing a meal with someone. It's a total full system engagement. And this brilliantly illustrates how good habits compound, leading us to part 3, diets and daily behaviors. The data clearly shows that cooking doesn't exist in a vacuum. It actually triggers a whole cascade of other healthy choices. If you look systematically through this table, a super clear pattern emerges. The people cooking more than 5 times a week inherently ate way more veggies and less meat. So, of course, their fiber, vitamin C, and calcium intake shot up. But the benefits went way beyond the plate. They walked much more frequently, mostly because they had to go out and shop for fresh ingredients. The sheer necessity of cooking forced them into a much higher state of daily physical activity. Plus, the demographic correlations were fascinating. Frequent cooks tended to be slightly younger elders and often unmarried or living alone, meaning they absolutely had to rely on themselves. But here's the real kicker. Frequent cooking was heavily associated with an almost total lack of substance use. They were overwhelmingly non-drinkers and non-smokers. They also didn't have chewing difficulties, so their oral health actually let them enjoy all the diverse whole foods they were making. But as we dig a bit deeper, a highly significant nuance pops up. This is part 4, the gender divide. It turns out the survival benefits of this daily routine weren't distributed equally across the board. Now, what's really striking about this slide is the stark contrast. When comparing frequent cooks to non-cooks, men saw a really solid 24% reduction in mortality risk. But women? Women saw a massive 51% reduction. The protective effect was fundamentally stronger for the women in this specific cohort. So why the huge discrepancy? Well, the researchers impartially note that in this study, the women who cooked simply demonstrated measurably better food choices than the men. Their meals consistently had higher overall nutrient densities. The hypothesis isn't some biological kitchen advantage, it's just that long-standing cultural differences in how the genders approach dietary quality played a huge role in these survival outcomes. This whole analysis demands a critical shift in perspective, which brings us to part 5, redefining food preparation. Ultimately, the act of cooking loops physical mobility, cognitive maintenance, and nutrition all into one self-sustaining cycle. So the absolutely crucial point is captured perfectly in the study's conclusion. It says, the present findings encourage public health policy which emphasizes the development and maintenance of cooking skills, interest, and performance as a way to extend healthy lives. Basically, this research is strongly arguing that we've got to stop viewing culinary skills as just a domestic chore. Instead, the ability and the desire to cook should be viewed as a vital daily medical intervention. Which leaves us with a pretty provocative question about our modern habits. As we rely more and more on delivery apps and prepackaged stuff, we really have to look at the data and ask ourselves, are you trading your longevity for the convenience of a ready-made meal? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I hope this evidence gives you a totally fresh perspective the next time you step into your kitchen.